Hello and welcome to another edition of Letterboxd Highlights. In case you didn't already know, this is a series where I recap the best and most interesting films I've watched in the previous month. This time we're taking a look at June of 2019. This is an extremely solid character piece that should not be missed. Jim Arnold has his life fall apart and it's made all that much worse because he can't talk about it or properly deal with it. The term itself has become somewhat tainted by morons who think that any form of masculinity is toxic in nature, but this film does actually deal with the genuine definition of toxic masculinity. This idea that men aren't allowed to express their emotions, that they're expected to always be stern and bottle everything in, and then because of this the only way to react is through anger. This film does it with wit and care though. I have to give immense praise to Jim Cummings. To write, direct and perform this to such a high standard is commendable, and to be brave enough to deliver some of the key scenes within this film within slow, continuous zoom shots just amplifies my appreciation for his talent. The Raid was a great film because of the action. The sequel is just a great film, full stop. It improves in just about every area. It has a much stronger story and it's also a lot braver in its narrative structure. Visually it's improved as well. While the original was gritty and heavily tinted with blues, this is a much cleaner and more visually striking film, in all areas actually. The cinematography, the color grade, and the real highlight, the production design. There are some absolutely stunning sets and use of color throughout. I'd be remiss not to mention the action set pieces. Just like the rest of the film, they're grander in places yet still nail it. You'd be hard pressed to find an action film that's capable of choreographing and executing its action quite like this does. The Raid 2 does exactly what a good sequel should do. Take some of the best bits from the original and do something different with it. Allow it to be its own film. At this moment in time, I struggle to think of a better action film that I've seen. It's been 5 or 6 years since I was shown the hallway fight from this in my GCSE film studies class. I've only just now gotten around to watching it and, well, it's different than I expected. I was expecting it to be gritty, dark and ultra-violent. And to a certain extent it is, but it's also fairly weird, quirky and weirdly charming. That may sound odd considering the content of this, but I'm more referring to the peculiar scene transitions, the somewhat cheesy nature of certain scenes, and the comedic moments that are spread throughout the film. However, I do like to believe that this is intentional, to provide some relief to the audience, considering the extremely dark and pretty heavy content of the story and some of the scenes. The way the story and mystery unravel is wonderful. This recommendation comes with a warning because there's definitely a few scenes that are a bit difficult to stomach, but if you have the strength for it, then give this a watch. You won't regret it. Humans are naturally curious creatures. Despite what some people may say, there's a part in all of us that's curious about the private lives of the people we come in contact with. We get snippets in our day-to-day lives, whether that be fragments of conversations or through our neighbours' windows. Hitchcock takes this idea and presents us a mystery thriller. Though, if I'm being entirely honest, I don't think the mystery is actually the biggest strength this film has going for it. In fact, it's kind of weak. For me, the biggest strength this film has going for it is the execution of this original concept. I mean, it's impressive enough that they built this set. What you see in the film is an entirely built set on basically a soundstage from what I've read. But that's not enough. You could build a set and still have a shit film. It's the fact that Hitchcock has taken this set and filled it with characters that make it feel real, make it feel alive. Then you add our main cast and their interactions. While Jeff, played by James Stewart, is a fairly strong and interesting character, the real highlight for me is Lisa, played by Grace Kelly. Her screen presence is second to none, really dominating each scene that she's in. Now, I didn't love this as much as Vertigo, but it's still an extremely solid piece, and that's 2 months in a row that Hitchcock has made it into Letterboxd Highlights. And that is all for this edition of Letterboxd Highlights. I don't have a comedic or interesting way to close out this episode, so all I'm going to do is suggest that you go watch all the other episodes of Letterboxd Highlights and subscribe to the channel. Can you do that? Yeah. Thanks.